Today, we are going to break down a procedure that, on the surface, sounds almost too simple. But in reality, it's one of the most powerful life-saving systems you'll find in any industrial setting. It's called Lockout/Tagout, or LOTO for short, and we're about to see how this simple protocol prevents absolute tragedy. I want to start with just one number, 50,000. That's the estimated number of injuries every single year caused by one thing: a machine unexpectedly starting up or releasing energy. And get this, these are injuries that are almost entirely preventable. And you've got to remember, these aren't just statistics. Behind every single one of those 50,000 incidents is a real person, a technician, a mechanic, an operator whose life gets turned upside down in a split second by an accident that, as we're about to find out, really never should have happened in the first place. So that brings us to the big question for today. It seems almost ridiculously simple, doesn't it? How can something as basic as a padlock and a warning tag, how can that be the one thing standing between a totally normal day at work and a life-changing disaster? Well, to get that answer, we first have to understand the invisible threat that LOTO was designed to fight. We have to talk about that unseen force that's hiding inside pretty much every piece of industrial equipment out there. And the stakes here? They couldn't be higher. We're not just talking about preventing injuries. It's estimated that proper lockout/tagout procedures prevent around 120 fatalities every single year. So this isn't some boring safety checklist. This is, quite literally, a life-saving protocol. The official name for this hidden danger is hazardous energy, but don't let that term fool you into just thinking about electricity. No, this is any kind of energy that can be stored up in a machine and then, without any warning, suddenly get released while someone is working on it. And this energy, it comes in all shapes and sizes. You've got the obvious one, sure, electrical energy, but it can also be mechanical energy, like the force that's coiled up in a giant compressed spring. It could be the immense power of hydraulic or pneumatic pressure. It can even be leftover chemical reactions or thermal heat. This stuff is literally hiding in plain sight. So, you've got this huge, invisible danger everywhere. But here's the good news. The solution is surprisingly elegant and incredibly powerful. This is where the Lockout/Tagout protocol comes in. It's the system designed specifically to tame that unseen force. The entire philosophy behind LOTO, the whole point, boils down to one critical goal: achieving what's called a zero-energy state. That means you have to ensure the machine has absolutely no energy left in it, not from the plug, not stored, nothing. And you have to be able to prove it's completely dead before you ever touch it. Okay, so what's the difference between the lockout and the tagout part? This is super important. They are not the same thing. A lockout is a physical barrier. You're putting a padlock on the machine's power source, making it literally impossible for someone to turn it on. A tagout, on the other hand, is just a warning sign. It's a tag that says, hey, don't touch this. And while a tag is better than nothing, it's just a warning. The physical lock is always the preferred and safer option. All right, so what does this actually look like on the factory floor? How does it work in the real world? Let's walk through the exact sequence of steps that creates this essential bubble of safety for a worker. This 8-step sequence is really the heart of the whole thing. 1. Preparation. You have to know every single way that machine gets its power. 2. Notification. You tell everyone in the area what's about to happen. No surprises. 3. Shutdown. You use the normal controls to turn the machine off. 4, and this is crucial, energy isolation. This isn't just flipping a switch. You are physically disconnecting it from its source. 5. Apply devices. You put your personal lock and tag on it, and that lock is yours. Only you have the key. 6. Release stored energy. You bleed any leftover pressure. Drain the lines. The machine might be off, but it's not safe yet. 7. And this might be the most important step of all, verification. You have to actually try to start the machine up. You need to prove that it fails. You need to see with your own eyes that it won't turn on. And only after you've verified that it's dead can you move to step 8. Finally, and safely, perform the work. But here's the thing. A lock is just a piece of metal, right? And a procedure is just words on a page. To get real, lasting safety, you need a whole lot more. You need an entire program. And even more than that, you need to build a true culture of safety. And that's really the key insight. The lock itself isn't the magic bullet. The solution is the system you build around that lock. A truly successful program has to be written down, it has to be practiced over and over again, and it needs to have buy-in from everyone, from the front line to the CEO's office. So what does that kind of system look like?
Well, it's got a few key building blocks. It starts with written procedures that are specific to each and every machine. It requires having authorized employees, people who are specially trained to do this. The company has to provide standardized locks and tags, so everything is consistent. And all of it has to be backed up by constant training and regular inspections to make sure those high standards never, ever slip.
Okay, this all sounds great in a perfect world, but what happens when you try to implement it in the real world with all its pressures and problems? Let's look at a case study that shows both the struggles and the frankly incredible success of getting this right.
So listen to this. This quote comes from a case study at a manufacturing plant in India, and it just lays out the problem so clearly. They were having repeated hand crush incidents during a very specific maintenance task. This wasn't a one-off thing, it was a painful, recurring problem.
And then, look what happened after they put a serious, mandatory LOTO program in place. Before, you had a high number of incidents. It was a constant issue. In the 3 years after they implemented the program, the number of serious injuries of that type was 0. Not a reduction, not an improvement, 0. The results just speak for themselves. It's undeniable. Now, of course, getting to 0 is rarely easy. There are always hurdles. One of the biggest is often pushback. This idea that proper safety procedures just slow down production. You also see issues like not having the right equipment or training that's just not good enough. And sometimes the hardest thing to fight is just a culture where people are used to doing a quick fix instead of following the formal, safe procedure. Which really brings us full circle, back to the most crucial point of all. Lockout/tagout isn't a burden that gets in the way of work. It is not an unnecessary delay. It's a proven, methodical, life-saving system that protects a company's single most valuable asset, its people. So let's end where we began. We have a simple protocol that is proven to work. It saves thousands of people from injury and hundreds from death, year after year. The final question, then, is a pretty straightforward one. What's it really going to take, in training, in investment, and in sheer cultural commitment, to make this life-saving standard a universal reality in every single workplace?